Hloni Motsohi, Application Services Executive at Business Connexion. Welcome to the Red Zone.
Thank you. Thanks, Sabrina.
Now, Hloni, Business Connexion believes quite heavily in the value of apps. Can you tell me why?
Well, essentially, applications have been are the turning point of evolution in terms of the internet of late. What you're finding is that a lot more people are connecting to the internet using mobility, using mobile phones and so forth. And as a result, applications are starting to play a more prevalent role in terms of allowing for accessibility to the internet. What is now interesting, though, is that brands throughout the whole world can start leveraging applications a lot more effectively in terms of releasing applications that people can interact with and allow for those people to actually interact with the brand a lot more effectively. So applications are playing a huge role in terms of helping organizations get their brand out there. So as Business Connexion, we place a high importance in that. Why? Because we know that if we can actually add a quantifiable value to our client base, those are some of the key areas that we could actually add a huge amount of value. And app dev is one of the key focuses that we have, and that's why we see it as quite important.
One of the strategies behind Business Connexion is the focus of growth in Africa. What advice can you give to brands, companies, ICT platforms that are moving into Africa, and do you have any stats on the actual mobile penetration?
So, sub-Saharan Africa, it's got the largest mobile growth rate in terms of penetration throughout the whole world. In terms of the world figures, sub-Saharan Africa has twice the amount of penetration growth in terms of mobile internet access. Now, for a organization that's trying to grow into Africa and leverage mobility and leverage different types of industries and understanding those industries, it's actually a very systemic type of question or systemic type of strategy that you have to take on. Understanding the industry, understanding the areas that you're going to be working in, but then also leveraging ICT as one of the key drivers to enable your organization. One of the key things that we did as Business Connexion is that we worked with one of the international retail companies, and what we did is we helped them in terms of an ICT strategy entry into the South African market. But as a result, what we're using is we're leveraging our ICT and taking them through into the African continent. So one of the things that Business Connexion will look at is if a brand wants to grow into the African continent, we'll look at the partnership on a multifaceted perspective. How do you leverage mobility? Because mobility is one of the largest increasing sort of trends throughout the African continent. How do you leverage broadband? How do you leverage infrastructure properly? And how do you find the right type of strategy in order for you to give that right type of penetration at each of the different sub-Saharan countries within Africa? Moving up towards Northern Africa, once you've really understood sub-Saharan Africa, then you can start launching yourself into the Northern Africa sort of areas. But you then start to have to leverage some of the European organizations also that are well established, that are actually coming down from the northern side, and also looking at some of the UAE companies. So BCX's key strategy is around being able to help organizations grow within Africa. Africa has got probably one of our larger pipelines within BCX at the present moment in time. It's growing significantly. We've got cloud data center solutions inside Nigeria, and we've also got cloud data center solutions down here in South Africa. So enterprise companies, small, medium businesses that want to grow in Africa can leverage some of that data center capability, and obviously then, using mobility, we can start delivering mobile services to each and every single one of those organizations.
I suppose it's also got a lot to do with the partner that you partner with that will assist you in forging north, European forging south, east, west. It seems like everybody's moving into Africa.
No, true. Partnership is very key. Some organizations have actually made the mistake of thinking that they can just take the operations and replicate the same model that they have in South Africa and some of the African countries, and have actually hurt themselves as a result of doing that. Knowing the right type of partners, leveraging the local capability and enabling local capability is one of the key ways of creating sustainability throughout the continent. And then from a brand perspective, already leveraging mobile apps within the South African context, taking a mobile strategy into the African context is also something that is very new, because throughout the rest of Africa, you could say the maturity of mobility is not as varies. It varies in different countries. So some countries have a huge smartphone penetration, whereas others actually don't. So you need to actually take that into consideration. But you asked me about stats. So one of the interesting stats that is actually sort of coming out right now is that social media is accounting for about 63% of the mobility users, for example, in Namibia, whereas in Kenya, you're finding only a penetration rate a little bit less than that, a lot less than that from a mobile networking perspective. And the reason why social media is growing is that it's starting to replace email. So in Namibia, it's really overtaken, email in terms of communication. But in Kenya, that's still only going to grow, and that shows you the level of maturity that's within some of these countries. So if you've got mobility and you've got social media enabled, and a lot of people are using it, that is a wealth of opportunity for advertising organizations.
Looking into the future, you mentioned the Internet of Things. What exactly is this, and how does it affect brand and marketing communications?
So I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. We went from the Internet of People using social, Google Pluses, the Facebooks and so forth. The evolution of the Internet went then from there to Internet of Mobile, right? So where people are now interacting with social media using mobile phones. But now we're having the Internet of Everything, so meaning that everything is connected, your fridges, your laptops, your household goods, etc., etc. So what that actually says is that the more connected devices you have, the more opportunity for different types of models to actually, be released to leverage those devices. So your mobile phone is now going to be your interaction with this world, and consumers are going to be engaging with brands in a very different manner. So what I would say to the advertising community around that is that understand Internet of Things. And when you do understand it, know that there's going to be a new type of player coming in that is going to be competing against you. And also understand that the more connected devices there are, the more creative you can be in terms of delivering services through to the market, and also leveraging your brand a little bit more.
Well, Hloni, thank you very much for joining us. To our listeners, keep a lookout for the launch of My World of Tomorrow, an expo that Business Connection is going to be doing in October 2014. I'm sure you'll be able to send out more information as and when you have it.
Keep your eye on the media.
But keep your eye on the ball.
It's going to be a big event.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.